It's 10 p.m. on a Thursday. This is known as the Thursday Freakout here at UFO Buster Radio Network. And we talk about a few UFO space-related news, kind of get the chit-chat going, and we'll see where it goes. Usually, because theory is that if you schedule something at the same freaking time every week, people will show up. As they say, if you build it, they'll fucking show up. So we'll see who joins in the live chat. And if you join in, let me know what your freak out is for today. Now, I do have an announcement, but the announcement is this. We have someone who will be coming in to be interviewed on the next freak out, next Thursday. Okay, let me just tell you a little bit of background about this person. His name is Ryo Shin. Don't ask no questions, won't tell no lies. And this is what he says. He believes that he solved the Nazca lines. What they are is a 3D representation of the Orion star maps. Can you believe that? Isn't that just crazy? And so basically he says that this group of territory markings was put together to ward off ETs as to whose planet this is or was. So it's basically a do not trespass sign. So I don't know. It seems like the trespassing sign isn't working because people are getting probed all the time. So go figure. I don't know. But that's what we have. He'll be here next week. I'm getting together a bunch of things, basically, to give you a little bit of background as we get to next Thursday. He's eager to share his story, what his, I guess his theory is on the Nazca lines and how they connect to the Orion Belt. Listen, I didn't even know this was a thing, to be honest. I'm not even going to lie about that. I didn't know it was a thing, and until I got into the UFO Buster Radio fan chat and talked to the guys in there, and they were talking about like they've seen stuff like this before. People making that connection between star clusters and the Nazca lines. Because as we know, these things are, that's bugs. As we know, these things are, rumored to be, ways of communication with ET or landing instructions or whatever. I don't know. I don't fucking know. All I know is they found mummies there a few years ago, and we still don't know what the hell they are. That's about it. On the live chat right now, we've got Dave and Greenman, and they are here basically to find out what's going on in the news today. And also, like I said, gentlemen, go ahead and give us a little bit of your freak out. Hopefully related to, UFO Buster Radio type of subject like UFOs, aliens, and space. Space is big. Space is big in a big way. Just like Trump would say, it's huge. It turns out that SpaceX is making news upon news upon news everywhere, constantly. I even got a email from Professor T out in the West Coast. Professor T, well, I believe he's out on the West Coast. Fuck my life. Might not even be right about that, to be honest. Professor T is talking about how it turns out that SpaceX might be making a shit ton of money, not from the spear chuckers who are in countries that don't get internet. No, not from those guys, but from other governments. Right. So we had the news that we broke that was reported not too long ago about the shitty internet that the government of Australia is providing for the people. Well, guess what? The people said, we're tired of this. What you gave us, what you promised is not happening. And of course, who else? Who else is going to show up with his Starlink satellites and say, you know what? Australia, South America, I've got you. Yeah, basically Elon Musk saying that he's going to rescue Australia and every other fucking place that has shitty internet and give them what they want. Give the people what they want. Give them what they ask for, Elon. But on the flip side of that, and by the way, Professor T did allude to an article in that online publication called The Drive, but I couldn't find it. We'll have to get the link from him directly so we can get there. But according to this article from the synopsis that I got, it's basically that Elon is going to make billions upon billions because he's really going to be also offering Starlink not just to the spirit chuckers or the folks in third and, I don't know, is there such a thing as a fourth world country? Not even the people that live in huts, if that qualifies. It's going to be for governments to use it. Here's my thing. I'm gonna do this without the article, but let's be honest. Does he have the ability to keep folks like people allege, like China, from taking over his Starlink constellation and going just, I don't know, balls to the wall corrupt? Does he have that capability now, then, forever? Who the fuck knows? He's going to make a shit ton of money. There is no doubt about it. He's selling his soul to whoever the fuck is going to pay him. Is that genius? Probably. I don't know. There was another article today where one of the execs for SpaceX was talking about how they are more than willing to send weapons into space for the government. Really? It's a far way that we've gone from the onset of Internet for All to sending weapons into space. And if Starlink is evidence of who he's going to offer this to, well, shit, anyone can send fucking weapons to space, apparently. You just got to pay the right price. It is a very strange thing going on. It is freaking crazy. So, there's more to come, right? March is supposed to be the next launch of the Starship. The next version of the Star. I don't even know what fucking version this is. Probably the non-exploding kind, hopefully. Non-explode issue 1. So hopefully this one is not going to blow the fuck up. So let's be honest, we'll see. But we're going to get into news in just a sec. Let me say hello to some of the live folks. Zachariah is in here, of course, joining it. Guter is here, and apparently he's driving, but he'll be right back. I don't know. I don't know. I can't. I just can't. We got 2 articles for today. In between, I'll ask the folks in the live chat to give me their freak out. And just to let you guys know, because it was Blue Chicken, who normally is in the chat, but he's not there now. Because he set up I guess it was Blue Chicken, I don't know. Whoever set up, it was one of these guys in the live chat who set up the group chat on Discord. It was them who decided that, yeah, we should interview Ryushin regarding his Orion situation and Nazca lines. So hopefully next Thursday, these guys are going to show up and have some questions for Ryushin. Because like I said, I didn't even know people were doing this with the Nazca lines and the freaking Orion belt. I don't know. Every time I say the Orion belt, I think about Men in Black. So what can you do? I don't know. We'll be right back. Check out this song. By the way, Bugs snuck in here right before I was going to start the podcast. I was just getting ready and looking stuff up. And he got in here. He's like a fucking cat. He's a Boston Terrier, but he acts like a fucking cat because he'll get on his dog bed and he'll circle that thing like about half a dozen times. And he has a blanket. He moves that shit around, and finally he just throws it off the pillow, his doggy bed or whatever, and he lays down. And then he drops one of the largest farts I've ever heard from any kind of a being at all. It really was more than human. It was like a superhuman fart that was coming from Bugs. And then he starts his snoring, which I guarantee you're going to hear the snoring throughout this particular episode. And that's the way it is. I usually get to block him out. But the thing is, it kind of breaks my heart to try to get him off his bed and kick him out. Because then he looks at me like all sad and shit. And, he's like, hey, I'm part of the show too, so fuck off. Over the last, I would say 6 months or so, I guess I always fucking say 6 months, but just go with it, right? Just go with it. Over the last 6 months or so, we've talked about all these articles, especially since science has been getting heavily involved in maybe the last 3 or 4 years into the topic of UFOs. We've had this recurring thing about people writing articles and calling out science for not being open to the idea that maybe life on Earth is not a proper representation for life everywhere else. Like just maybe for a second, if you rubber dickers with the pocket protectors can just shut the fuck up and just think for a second. And think out of the box. Maybe in another world, you don't require water. We don't require an atmosphere. We don't require 70s weather, 72, 73 Fahrenheit all fucking day, all fucking year, in order for you to have a good time and enjoy yourself. Maybe in another planet they don't have weed or cocaine or anything like that. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe you guys need to open your horizons to the fact that things can be different elsewhere. The article for today, coming from Science Alert, says this. Scientists find the first ever animal that doesn't need oxygen to survive. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that just bananas? I bet you a bunch of scientists just fucking passed out. They went out on a freaking binge and drank their asses off because life for them just changed in the worst possible fucking way. In the worst way. Because now you have to think outside the box. You've got to think a little more to the idea that humanity may not be the blueprint for the entire universe. I know for some of you that's shocking. You might be getting the noose ready. You're going out to the jungle gym and tying it up because you're about to hang yourself. Just because you're not it. There's probably a lot of it's throughout the entire universe, but you may not be the one. It turns out that some things are reality. Gravity is a reality, right? We feel that shit every day, every time. It's not anything that's going to shock people if you go by something that's extremely dense in the universe and it pulls you in because it's got a lot of fucking gravity attached to it. We know that so far, from our estimation, and again, it's from our perspective, we haven't seen anything that travels faster than light, but we haven't identified that, have we? You kind of have to travel as fast as light to figure that shit out, right? Who the fuck passed you? So that's another thing. But the other thing is that the belief is that multicellular life requires oxygen to live. But they found an exception to that. They discovered a jellyfish-like parasite that doesn't have a mitochondrial genome. This is the very first multicellular organism known to have this absence of the mitochondrial genome. And so it basically does not breathe. There's no fucking lungs. Right? They're not walking around with oxygen. Zero dependency on oxygen at all. Crazy. Bananas. The one thing I couldn't find in this fucking article is where the fuck did they find it? The thing that's going to shock you guys, the thing that's going to drive you apeshit crazy, is that this thing looks like alien sperm. Now, when I say alien sperm, I'm saying that the picture of this thing looks like the head of what we know to be a gray attached to the tail of a sperm. If you look at the logo, the image for this podcast, it is a picture of these multicellular animals that don't need oxygen. It is fascinating beyond belief that in recent conversation that the focus has been to we need to open up our eyes to the fact that something like this could live on Mars. Something like this could live in Europa or Enceladus. Not require oxygen. It is multicellular. This could be an alien. Now, we've been prepared, right? This is what slow churning disclosure controlled by a government is supposed to end up being like. Take 2030, we might shoot something up to Mars, send a bunch of rubber dickers trained by your government. They go on there, they do a couple of tests, they come up with something like this. Wow, we have aliens in our solar system. That doesn't help fucking Ronnie Dawson now, does it? Travis Walton doesn't help any of those guys. Anybody, Betty and Barney, doesn't help none of those fuckers if the first thing that we find and claim to be aliens is really a multicellular organism that doesn't even the size of a pinprick. So who the fuck abducted these people? Who took them? Who raided their homes? Makes no fucking sense. Is it really all psychosis? I don't know. I don't know what it is. So the article continues on. And again, the link is in the description if you guys going to check it out. I can tell you right now it's highly scientific. There are quotes from the paper that was written on this multicellular deal. This animal that doesn't need oxygen. Fucker. Yeah, there's a lot of scientific stuff evolving this. Even how possibly it may have evolved, billions of years ago on the planet, fighting along multicellular oxygen fuckers who beat it out and took over the dominance of the planet. One quote here that's really important is, our discovery confirms that adaptation of an anaerobic environment is not unique to single cellular big animals, creatures, single-celled amoebas. But what they find, because it is multicellular and is also, by the way, a parasitic animal, that this opens up the doors to a lot of different things, the different ways to think about what we could find out in the middle of nowhere of space, at least in our own solar system, right? So unless Planet 9 is still out there, out there hanging out in deep space in the solar system, and it has a bunch of fallen angels on it, this might be what we find in our own solar system, right? These kind of small creatures. And listen, there's nothing to say that we don't have fucking rats, space rats in some other planet or freaking asteroid in the solar system. Who the fucking knows? But what we know is it is very possible that we can go into and land a ship from Japan, because Japan's the only ones fucking doing it, is land something on one of these interstellar meteors or objects, 1 and 2, Borisov and Oumuamua, and we might find multicellular creatures that have no need for oxygen and can survive in space in something like that. Something that's just sitting there traveling through the cosmos. One day, I guess we'll figure that out. I guess it won't be now. And it sure as hell won't be this podcast, because this shit is breaking news to me. Plain and simple. Let's see who's in the chat box right now. Dave and Greenman are going on and on about trees don't use Dave, really? Trees don't use oxygen? I don't know. Really got to stop reading these comments out loud. I got to think about it for a while. Also, there's a comment there about the Black Knight satellite. Dave says the Black Knight satellite is real. And then he says he'll go hide in his corner. I don't know. Nibiru is knocking on a back door. Listen, I don't know why we talking about back doors, but Nibiru is what it is, right? Planet 9, the one that's coming to destroy our planet. Collide. I don't know. The jury's out on that, but check out this track right now. By the way, I did receive a few tracks from someone who you've heard mentioned on this podcast, week by week, episode by episode, that I'm going to be playing as the outro, starting with the episodes in March. Hell, there's enough content there to probably go into April, depending on how many episodes I do. I've been kind of fucking lazy. Because it just doesn't pay. It doesn't pay to do podcasting these days. It really doesn't. I don't know. I feel like I need to get off of YouTube. I need to stop podcasting and just go be like a beachcomber somewhere. And hopefully a Tic Tac will come by and sweep me up and take me to their planet where I can become a podcaster there. Yeah, I think I'd be like, I'd be fucking famous as fuck in another planet, in another society altogether. Maybe I should just fuck another planet, another society, something foreign. I'll just go to fucking France. I go over there and be kind of the rudest person there is, basically, being from America, But, hey, that's the way it is. But we're going to have those tracks on here in March. I've listened to them. It's going to be good. Hey, you know what? Listen, if you guys got talents, when I first started this podcast, what I used to do is I used to go on the SoundCloud, and I used to ask the folks on there, if you have unsigned material that you want to get to a wider audience, hit me up and let me know. I got a lot of good response from that. A lot of good tracks, actually, early on. It was great. But, the strange thing was that whenever they got signed, eventually, some of them did, then I would get the copyright notices, and I'm not one to I'm like you guys, basically. A regular guy, I'm a blue-collar worker, kind of, and my email has about almost 49,000 items in it. I don't clear that shit. I mean, it's fucking Google. They can handle the space, right? I mean, really. Yeah, so sometimes I don't really get to my email. So don't be surprised. If you send me a message, whether it be through email, at the website, if you send it through me through like Facebook, and I don't respond for a few days, guess what? I've got a shitload of emails to go through, and I don't usually get it the first time around. Sometimes I'll sit down on the shitter and I go through all the emails and messages, and I'll just come across stuff, kind of like the Ryu Shin conversation that awarded him the interview for next week. But that's the way it happens. I know you guys are the same. I know you are. There's just no way. I guarantee it. The next article, like I said, has to do a lot with SpaceX because they're just making all kinds of moves. I mean, SpaceX is basically in everything. It is really difficult these days not to look up an article that has to do with any kind of advancement in space technology, in exploration of space, or in just fucking digging holes in the damn city that doesn't have to do with SpaceX. Now, the Boring Company is fucking boring, so we're not going to talk about that. It just makes no sense to me that it's weird how people let him do, and I'm talking about your main man, the Muskinator. It is so weird how they let him do whatever the fuck he wants, anywhere, all the time. It is so, I don't know. I mean, money talks, bullshit walks, I guess, right? So if you got the money, people throw more fucking money at you. And I think that's why the poor people are always poor. Because if you're poor, they throw more boredom on you, I guess. Right? So when you're rich, people throw more fucking money at you. It's so fucking ass backwards. I just don't get it. It makes no sense. The title for this article from the LA Times, SpaceX gets approval to build its Mars spaceship at the port of LA. But that's another thing. How fucking odd is that? So you've got the test site that's really active right now in Boca Chica, Texas. In March, ladies and gentlemen, there will be a launch. There's going to be a launch of the full Starship, whatever number the fuck it is. It's a model number, don't blow the fuck up. And shit is really active in Boca Chica. Stuff in not Fort Lauderdale, over by NASA. Where the fuck is that? Over on the East Coast in Florida. That's kind of slowed down some. It's not that really active, I guess. Or what the fuck do we know? There's probably all kind of shit going on there. They're just not reporting on it. But now the port of Los Angeles has opened its doors to SpaceX as well. That's Bugs, if you can hear him. I don't know. I don't know if you can or not. The Los Angeles City Council approved a permit this past Tuesday that allows Elon Musk and SpaceX to use a site on Terminal Island at the port to build aerospace parts. What's the logistics here? You've got shit coming from Florida to Texas, then you got shit in California. How the fuck does that all work? That's a lot of moving around, a lot of moving parts. Why don't you just buy all of southern Texas, all for your fucking self? It could be the southern county of Elon. And build your shit there. And stop fucking around with all of this. You can buy part of Florida, I'm sure, if you wait long enough. Mother Nature's going to take over anyway. You can build a fucking island. Because of global warming. Whatever the fuck that is. Anyway, so LA County Councilman Joe Buscaino's office said that the company was interested in the port site because it needed additional manufacturing capacity for a Starship spaceship and rocket booster. Again, how the fuck you gonna get that shit around the country like that? It's just bananas. A SpaceX representative at last week's Harbor Commission's meeting did mention Starship by name during his presentation. I'm sorry, he did not mention the Starship by name during the presentation, but what he said was that the company was going to use the port in order to further its goal of creating an interplanetary society that includes Mars. Yeah. Like they actually went in there. They actually went in, probably as confident as fuck, right? They went in there and actually said to this council folks, basically said, we're ruling space, bitches. Can we build it here? We're going to Mars. Interplanetary like, like Rogers and shit. Or Duck Dodgers. Or Lost in Space. And we're just going to come in here and build our fucking parts. What do you think about that? And they clapped. They probably applauded. They all got up and cheering away. And they were like, where's Elon? Where's Elon? And like, no, he's not here. He just sent the fucking recording for you guys to idle and be happy about and just, love it. Yeah. And here's the thing. There's actually a quote in here from one of the local people. We know what happens to local people when SpaceX comes in hanging their gonads low, dragging it across the ground, knocking over buildings and shit. We know what happens to the local people in Boca Chica. So the people in the people in Los Angeles, they're all fucking happy, right? Here's one thing. It says it's crazy that here we are in 2020 preparing ourselves to send people to Mars, and it's going to happen in our own backyard in San Pedro. This was by someone who's supporting the situation in Boca Chica. I'm sorry, in San Pedro, not Boca Chica. He's going to be like the people in Boca Chica eventually. And he says, we are becoming a spaceport. I don't know about that. I mean, that's kind of fucked up in a lot of ways, right? How is it that this is how it's going to go down? You come in, you approve it, cabinet fucking taxes, right? Freaking people in Boca Chica got all this money to get the fuck out. The majority did not take it. Now what? And to me, after that little explosion, when they were just testing pressures for the Starship model blow the fuck up, I'd be like, can I sign on the data line? Okay, can you guys come over and offer me something else? Could you imagine something with maybe like 5 or 6 or 10 Raptor engines blowing the fuck up in Boca Chica? I mean, these people can see the rocket being built from their backyard. San Pedro, you guys are going to be under the same situation. And if you're in San Pedro, California, I did a service for you. I did. I want you to watch out for falling debris and shit. But there is another article. We're not really going to talk about it because when I say this article is lengthy as fuck, you guys have no idea. This is like a 2-shitter article, maybe 3. 3-shitter article. Break it up during your day. Like the first shit, 1/3. Hopefully you have another shit, good bowel movements. You read the other one. And maybe the third one, you might have to wait for a second day, like the morning one. But it might take you a little longer. There's a second article here by Esquire magazine, Esquire.com. The title of that one is Elon Musk, his rocket, and the grand scheme that tore apart Boca Chica. That is it. But the thing is, we've seen this in governments, right? What is the United States calls it manifest destiny. SpaceX went down there, gonads and all, hanging low, dragging across the beach, and said, poof, this is where I'm going to build my rockets. You fuckers need to move, but we'll be nice about it for the public, because we don't want people to get mad at us, and so you go ahead and build your things. We're going to build our stuff, but you guys, you need to leave. Gives a little bit of money, you decide. People didn't want to leave. This article actually takes you from when the hopper was first tested. And it actually has quotes and interviews from the people that live in Boca Chica, what they experienced from their perspective when it came to the hopper situation, the big announcement, the big announcement that Elon Musk had down there, which was televised live, and it takes you through each of the residents, how they experience those things and their interactions with SpaceX and the so-called van that would come out to them. Listen, it is what it is. This is the future. Space is the future. Companies like Elon Musk has is the future. He's not the only one building a fucking constellation of satellites. He's the only one with the money in order to make it happen now. Hell, I even read an article that Apple is putting out a bunch of satellites themselves. Not the size of SpaceX, not the size of the Starlink constellation. So fucking big, they call it a constellation. And there's other companies doing the same thing. Our skies are going to change forever. Plain and simple. Unless there's a zombie apocalypse and no one's there to watch the fucking Starlinks, then those eventually will crash. I heard in Australia, zombie apocalypses are huge. They're huge. But that's what the story is. If you're out there in St. Pedro and you think that this is really great,
China,
or if you're in China, just know that your future is about to change. And the world should know their future as an entirety will change. The guys in Australia might be happy about internet. People in huts who are looking forward to Pornhub, they're happy about it too. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I think everyone's in for a big surprise.
1, 2, 3, 4. What about the world we both believed in? What about the word that made it so? What about your blood boiling crazy when you're just aching for her love like you could blow? You're like a broken record that turns and turns and turns again. You're like a broken record. It's what I am. It's what I am. What about the chance we would take? What about the dreams we unraveled? What about the bright and shiny future we would make? Well, like a broken record, turns and turns and turns again. You're like a broken record. That's what I am. What I am. Will the circus come to my town? Really pass me by? If the clown was to take his mask off, tell me would he cry? You're like a broken record, turns and turns and turns again. You're like a broken record. That's what I am. It's what I am. It's what I am. It's what I am.
I'm a broken record, that's for sure. And that's why a lot of people don't like me. I'm telling you, I feel it. I feel it in the deepest reaches of my soul. That's what it is. This is UFO Buster Radio. This is the end of the episode. Don't forget to tune in for the Dark Horde. Actually, I don't know what the fuck's going on with the Dark Horde this weekend. I have to figure that out eventually, pretty soon. And plus, I'm kind of teaming up with another local podcast, which is starting out, a brand new one. Hasn't really gotten off the ground. It's supposed to start this weekend, but we are going to do a ghost box hunt for those disemboweled voices at a local spot that's haunted for decades, years. Hopefully we'll get that together before the end of March. But in the meantime, I'm going to bring you whatever scary-ass fucking story there is out there. Especially shit like brothels, haunted brothels. It seems to be a theme in Texas. I swear to God. When I was down in Galveston, and then the last story we did in Mineral Wells, holy shit, it's nothing but haunted brothels. What's going on? It's because they didn't use protection back then. No protection, so they died from all kind of shit, and they were mad as fuck about it. Completely nuts. Like I said, this is the episode for today. I appreciate you guys. One last thing. There is a link to the group chat on Discord on every episode right now. So I want you guys, if you want to be part of making the decision or having an input to who gets interviewed, I am looking to interview more than just one person in March. At least 2 to 3 more. If you know someone who is doing the so-called circuit podcast regarding UFOs and things like that and experience and so forth, let them know. Message me. Give me their name, and maybe I'll have someone reach out to them. You know, my peoples get to their peoples, stuff like that. We can do that. Okay, no story is going to be turned down unless it's really crazy, which I might stray away from that. But the hallmark of UFO Buster Radio is that we want to take in every perspective, every idea when it comes to any answers that we can really think about that has to do with UFOs, ufology, and even the crazy shit for Elon Musk and how he's trying to rule the world and fuck up our skies. Just like that. So with that said, check you out on Saturday for the Dark Horde.